Tip number 230 from the book 501 Contractor Tips. Working in small communities, obviously if you live in a small community and you work in a small community, you're going to be more familiar with the problems in that community. But if you live outside of a small community and then come into a small community, you bid the project and you don't take certain things into consideration, then again, you could end up with a few more problems. I've noticed that working in small communities, and when I say a small community, could actually be a guarded community, something with a guard shack or a gate. You need to actually call in to open the gate every time. You need to wait for someone to drive in before they can open the gate, and then you follow them in. Guard shacks, you have a difficult time getting into the property, or it takes a certain amount of time to get into the property because they're not making it easy. A lot of these things are things that could be problems, and they might not cost you money, some of them, but they could be extremely frustrating over the long run and irritating. And I do have to say that's actually what I encountered working in some of these communities with guard shacks, where I actually had to physically tell somebody where you were going, show them your driver's license, wait for them to walk around your car, get the license plate information. I mean, what a nightmare some of this stuff is. That's actually not what this tip was originally intended for, but it's just another thing I noticed that I didn't mention in the estimating area. So we actually worked in a community one time. It was an entire community. There was only one road in to the community, and there was a guard check. You were not allowed to go into the this community before 7 o'clock in the morning. So we would get in to the job about 7:15, maybe 7:30, and get rolled out. So it cost the contractor a couple of dollars. This was back when I was working. I wasn't a contractor. But I wanted to point out also that there are other things that small communities might not provide. They might not provide fast food. If you like eating hamburgers, hot dogs, stuff like that, you're going to have to think about that. Bring in your own lunch. They might not have a hardware store, might not have a lumber yard. If they do have a lumber yard or a hardware store, it might the prices might be a little outrageous. I mean, I worked in one small community where they had one lumber yard, and the lumber yard was the hardware store. And not only were their prices outrageously outrageous, I mean, the prices were probably at least 70% more than I could have got them. But in order for me to go somewhere else, I would have to drive down a long hill, about 40 miles, just to get out of this property, and probably drive another 10 to 20 miles to find another lumber yard. So they really had you where they wanted. You were screwed. You remembered everything that you brought to the job, or you made lists so you didn't forget the next day. Now, when I said that they weren't just expensive, they also took forever to get something. You would go in there and there'd be three guys talking to each other, drinking their coffee, eating their donuts, or just sitting there chatting away. And you would have to wait until they acknowledged. If you interrupted them while they were talking, it took even longer to get your stuff. So you would wait. Eventually they got to the point with me to where okay, he's in a hurry, let's try and help him out. I didn't rush him along. I played their little game, stuff like that. But when the first few times I went in there, I don't just mean the first few, probably the first 10 to 15 times I went in there, these people were in no hurry at all to get you what you needed. And if they could wait to have someone else get it, they would wait even longer. I mean, it was just a nightmare to go into it. So keep some of that stuff in your while you're estimating the projects. Keep that in mind. If you're going to be traveling outside of your community, what's actually available? What are the prices like? Just in case you do need to use them. Familiarize yourself with the area, what's available. I mean, what I'm saying is only a few things here. I mean, you could get to an area where you didn't see it, but they're in a drought. You're not allowed to, you're only allowed to use a certain amount of water. That's going to put the homeowner or the property owner under stress, you know, you got to, you know, mix 500 bags of cement, something like that. So just, there are a lot of things to consider while estimating the project, and this is just another one of them.